Good morning. Here I am, Steve Weber. Welcome to the American Gumption Morning Show. And so today is a special day. And I'm finishing up one thing. I'm sending Stacey the link right now as we speak. So welcome to today's show. It is Wednesday. It is the March 17th. It's St. Patrick's Day, and it's the last day that I'm doing a show here from Pennsylvania. Right after the show, I'm getting on the airplane and I'm going out to California, and I'm going to pick up a car, and then I'm going to drive it back across the country for the next 3.5 weeks. So, we've got an adventure that I've been planning for about the last month or so, and it's actually coming true today. So excited for that. So it's going to be just a slightly shorter show. I don't expect to go the full hour. I'm going to do a monologue, and my monologue is titled 144 is 12 squared. So what is, it's the square root of 12. 144 is the square root of 12. So 12 times 12, 144. Now, why 144? I'll get to that in just a minute. Now, our guest today is going to be Stacey Redfield, our very own Stacey Redfield, the fitness misfit, and she is going to join us at about 15 past the hour, and she'll do her regular monthly segment. But then we'll maybe extend it a little bit, and we'll chat about my trip that's coming up, and we'll talk about some ideas for how I can stay flexible and fit during my drive across the country. I don't know about you guys, but after I sit in the car for a few hours and I get up, I have to kind of unwind myself and get straightened up. So maybe she'll have some ideas on how I can keep myself in better shape. So that's coming up, like I said, in just a few minutes. Alrighty. Now let's see, what else do I have going on here today? Let's see, we're adding the spirituality going wild. Let me tell you that we broadcast on, and we have all 144 shows so far broadcasting here on the Spirituality Going Wild Network, and of course on the American Gumption Facebook page and American Gumption YouTube channel. So we appreciate your following along with us there on all those platforms. Alrighty. Now, like I said, monologue and Stacey coming up, and then here's just a quick outline of what's happening in the rest of the week, and then as we get into next week. So Thursday I'm going to do at least this is the plan. It'll be Thursday or Friday, but I think it's going to be Thursday. I'll do a show from California at my regular time. It'll be 7 a.m. in California, so I'll have to get myself up, but I figure I'll still be kind of on East Coast time, so I'll be waking up. It'll be okay. I'm going to kind of outline the entire trip. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do, what the plan is from A to Z in terms of the 3.5 weeks, where I'm planning to go and what the agenda is and who I'm going to stop and visit and see. So that'll, and kind of tentatively what I'm thinking about as far as broadcasting. But basically we're going to do a little bit different version than the regular show. We're going to try to do it at the regular time, but we're also probably going to do a couple of shows at a different time. And then we'll probably do a little more like recorded interviews, and I'll bring those in and I'll play those during the regular show at the regular time. So I'm going to figure this out. It's a beta. Hey, I'm going across country, and it's like my practice run on how to do this. So anyway, Thursday, I will probably do that show at my regular time. And then Friday, not sure what I'm going to do. But I do know on Friday afternoon or late morning, I'm going to take a drive down to Monterey. Monterey is where it all started. Bubba Gump Shrimp Company, 25 years ago this month. In about 2 weeks, 25 years ago, my first day. We're going to go back to the site where I actually started my Forrest Gump career, and we'll kind of roam around Monterey and take some things, and then I'll show some video clips of that. That show is going to be next Monday, so I'm just going to do some recording on Friday, and then I'll the following Monday. Sunday, I'm going to drive from Northern California down to Southern California, then spend the week there. And that's as much as I'll tell you what I'm doing. But I'll fill you in on the whole thing next on Thursday. All right, once I get there. So again, flying out to California this afternoon. So that's it. Expect to do shows probably Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday next week at the regular time. But we'll see how that all works out. All righty. So now let's shift gears. And my monologue is 144 equals 12 squared. 144 equals 12 squared. So that is today's American Gumption monologue. So now you're thinking 144 equals, Steve, who cares? Who gives a rat's behind about 144 and, 12 times 12 times tables? Well, 144 is today's show. It's number 144. And so I was thinking, oh my gosh, 144. 12 times 12 equals obviously 144. In my school days, we had to do multiplication tables. We had to memorize the multiplication tables. And the highest you went was 12. The 12 times 12 equals, and then you didn't have to memorize anything after that. But 12 is also, and then this the whole idea of square roots, right? So 1 times 1 equals 1, 2 times 2 is 4, 3 times 3 is 3, and then 4 is 16, and 5, 25, 6, 36, 7, 49, 8, 64, 9, 81, 10, 100, 11, 121, and 12 is 144. All right. So kind of an important number just from that, from a math point of view. 144 has a significance from a math point of view. So what's it have to do with today's show? Well, today's show number 144. And today is the last show that I'm doing from Pennsylvania before I go out on my trip. And I've been, as I planned this trip, I said, it's a beta. I'm going to go out there and let me just stop for a second and make sure that, Stacey ended up getting my link here. Make sure it's sent. Apologize for this here, folks. I'm just double checking and distracting myself. I need a producer. We'll get a producer one of these days. All righty. We'll get a producer one of these days, and then we'll just go with it. Yeah, I think I sent that. I think she should have it. Okay, good. We're gonna assume everything's okay, and she'll show up here in a few minutes. All right. So 144, my show. Last show in Pennsylvania, and 3.5 week course. Once I started planning this trip, I went, okay, I'm going to use this trip as a beta from broadcasting from the road. When I launched American Gumption, kind of a year ago is when I really was like, okay, I got to make this happen. I knew about it before that, but launched the website on July 7th, and then started the American Gumption show on August 3rd. But really, it was this time when I was like, okay, I got to get serious about making American Gumption go. And my initial thought is I'm going to take this thing out on the road. So then I started to basically the virtual show, and so that was August 3rd, started the virtual show. And then we show up and we go, we start doing it. And now 144 shows, right? 12 times 12, 144. And it's like, oh my gosh, this is the last show in Pennsylvania. So this is the last show of the kind of initial phase of American Gumption. And there's been lots of little iterations of it, but now we're going out there. We're going to take this 3.5 week trip across. We're going to practice what would it be like to be broadcasting from the road on a regular basis? And so I'm going to be experimenting with different ideas. I think there's going to be more pre-recorded shows where I do an interview segment and then I bring it in and I just play that back. And maybe I have the guest show up and comment a little bit more on it, or maybe I don't. I don't know, but we're going to figure this out. We're going to try, we're going to experiment. So the 144, all the shows I've done up until now, 100% virtual, wasn't going anywhere, just broadcasting right from the Gumption headquarters here, the worldwide Gumption headquarters. And so this era comes to an end. Now the show goes out there, right? 3.5 weeks practice. I'll come back. I'll broadcast another 100 shows or something from here. But something will be different about him, certainly from a mindset, because I'll have a new perspective and I'll be planning to get out there on the road at that point. And I'll be starting to integrate different things into it. And, like I said, so I just wanted to acknowledge that, okay, today, kind of the end of the 144, the end of that first phase of American Gumption, where it was 100% virtual. And now we're starting to go ahead and take it out there on the road, and that it'll be different. So how it's going to be different, I don't know. We're going to figure this all out. When I should show up again, and it'll be on April It'll be April 12th, Monday, or April 12th, or April 13th, Tuesday will be my first show that I come back and broadcast from Pennsylvania. There'll be the same theme song. It'll probably have the same format. Nothing will feel different from a user perspective, but something psychologically is going to be different. I know it because I'll be planning at that point to take this thing out there on the road and, get out there, find that broadcast partner, put the rest of the pieces together and make this thing go, like I said, out there on the road. Will I do 144 more shows from here? When I get back, probably not. Thinking it's going to be less than that, before I get out there, but I don't know that. 144 would put me into October, November time frame. So my guess is maybe summer, early fall, something like that. Anyway, that's really it. I just wanted to acknowledge that this has been super fun. This first phase, all virtual, but now it becomes something that, goes out there and meets and kind of is more in alignment with what I had originally envisioned. But then, hey, in case you haven't heard, there was a pandemic this last year. Really? You didn't know? Oh my gosh, where have you been? All righty. All right. Well, good. Our fitness misfit is here. And she's looking actually very, very stylish today. She might be a fashion misfit a little bit, or maybe she is exactly spot on for the day. Let's bring her on. Stacey Redfield, there you are. Welcome.
How are you?
I'm doing great. You got your St. Patrick's Day glasses on.
I did. So my first class this morning came in wearing these, so I made them leave them behind because I was completely unprepared.
You said, hey, come back tomorrow and get them, and then you can have them back for next year.
Yes, we can have them back for next year. So I'm like, leave these for today because I need these. So
all righty. Well, hey, let's play the Fitness Misfit theme song to get you officially welcomed and ready for today's broadcast.
Go.
She's a Pilates instructor. She's got her very own Pilates studio. She goes on TV and does cooking shows and fitness expert shows. She's an actress. She's been seen around Pennsylvania stalking in grocery stores.
Yeah, I'll never live that one down.
and probably much more that we're forgetting.
Oh, yeah. I was on the cover of I'm on a cover of an Amish romance novel too. So that's really funny. And I haven't lived that one down either, but yeah. So wow. Hey, it's living. You do what you got to do to make a living,
I hear you. Well, very good. Well, what do you got for us today? What is on the agenda? What are you thinking about sharing with us here on St. Patrick's Day?
Well, first of all, happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody. I hope you're celebrating. I know there's a Guinness in my future at some point today. But we're talking today about when, Steve, you're hitting the road, which I think is so exciting and something everybody should do. We stay in our little tiny corners of the world and we never go out. And with the pandemic, because I've heard, there's a pandemic, we have become more and more isolated, and which isn't a good thing. It's really not a good thing. And, you have to keep moving, whether it's moving, in the space that you're in or across the country. Moving is so important because it comes down to that. If you don't use it, you lose it. So the one thing I hope you're going to, you should go to Monument Valley. Have you gone to Monument Valley?
Well, I wasn't planning to go to, I've heard, I know, is it California, Monument Valley?
Monument Valley is like northern, if you go straight out of Santa Fe, straight north, it's like on the border. And Monument Valley is where the Forrest Gump road is, where he stops.
Exactly. Of course I know Monument Valley.
With the big picture of Monument Valley behind him. So I've been there. It's so pretty, that part of the country. Very, very pretty. But you should go. I mean, that's the thing, is when you take it on the road, there's so much to see, and all those little, those little bits of nostalgia and Americana that people don't get to see because we never leave. We think it's cool to just go to a destination and lay on a beach. I'm not one of those people. I like to get out, meet the people, talk to people, do what the locals do, you know, that kind of thing, so that you get a real, you know, immersion into what it's like to live in different parts of the country. So I'm excited to see what you do. But the one thing that I want to talk about, because this is so, so important, is one, our immune systems have been compromised, and our immune systems get compromised anytime we travel. So I'm going to give you these tips to do to protect yourself, because you're going to get on an airplane.
Yep.
Okay, right? You're flying first, right?
Yep, I fly today.
Planes and automobiles basically is your journey here. So I was a flight attendant for 5 years. So I can tell you that, yeah, that's not in the intro, but yeah, I was a flight attendant.
She keeps revealing more about herself.
Oh my God,
I know there's more, but
yeah, I was a cocktail waitress in Atlantic City. I worked at Trump Plaza, and one day somebody said to me, "You should, you know, do you want to work on, you know, the casino? They bring in these high rollers on private planes, and they will ask me if, you know, hey, do you want to do that? You know, work as a stewardess, as a flight attendant?" And I was like, yeah, sure, why not? So they put me through a training, and then I just went on and worked for a major airline after that. But so anyway, but what happened, like the first week that we all came out online, basically as flight attendants, we all got sick, you know, because we all end up with sinus infections. And part of the reason why is, one, you're traveling at 500 miles an hour in a tube, and the air circulates, and I know that they get, like, you know, that this air is circulating and it's dirty air, and it's not necessarily as much as the fact of you have changes in altitude, and the changes in altitude pressurize the body. So your body is pressurized in this tube at 30,000 feet, flying 500 miles an hour. So the changes in pressurization any germ that you have in there, it just gets pushed through your system so much faster. It's like a vacuum. So your body has to have some level of defense to fight that. So it's really important before you get on an airplane, and I do this, I've done this for years, I've advised my clients to do this anytime they fly or change environments, take something to boost your immune system. You know, I don't care if it's emergency, airborne. I take something called oscillocosonum, which is really to treat colds and flus. It's a homeopathic remedy, but the whole premise behind it is to boost your immune system. So I always take a capsule. They dissolve under the tongue. So I will take a capsule before I get on the airplane, not literally minutes before, but usually that morning before I fly. So it has a chance to get into your system. And then I will take one again when I land, because now I'm around other people in a different environment that you're not necessarily used to. And then I repeat the same process when I return. And so far, knock on wood, I have not had a cold, sniffle, any of that for a long time as a result of flying. But those are things that are really important, because a lot of people end up getting sick. They end up putting them on an antibiotic. If you travel for a living on business, you're on antibiotics multiple times a year, and that's not good for your body either. That also reduces your immune system. So you want to go in there with the best defense possible. Okay, a mask is not an end-all be-all of anything. That's not going to protect you. That's just basically putting lipstick on a pig. You know, it's not going to work for a long term.
What about hydration, liquids?
Liquids are always important. And I mean, I knew when I flew, I would drink liters of water a day. There's so many theories on that, because I was told once you're supposed to drink half your body weight in ounces a day. So in water. So that's a lot of water. You're going to spend a lot of time in the bathroom. So you're going to be running back and forth, because, you know, your body can't necessarily absorb or hydrate. So a lot of it is going to depend on your level of hydration. Now, if you're in Death Valley, because you might do that, I'm hoping you drive through Death Valley. It's awesome. There's so much to see there. But they actually have a chart. I remember being in Death Valley. I almost died in Death Valley one time. So I have a long story on that. driving through Death Valley. And it's hot. I mean, you're at the lowest point, you know, so you're below sea level. So you're at the lowest point in the United States in Death Valley, and then you have highest point. So, you know, there's so many different changes in environment and altitude there. But they have a chart in their restrooms which are kind of like just porta potty kind of things, that what color your urine should be. It's like all different shades. So how much water you're supposed to drink. So when you are traveling through the desert, you definitely need to hydrate at any time you are at elevation. So, the higher you go in elevation, if you're in Denver, Colorado, anytime you get to that elevation, your body dries out too. And you end up with what they call mountain sickness, where you're dizzy, you kind of have a little foggy brain kind of thing. And again, that's a hydration issue. So your body is really meant to be at, a level, so we're meant to be at sea level. So anytime we change those altitudes, again, hydration. Yeah. So those are things that you need to be aware of. Travel with lots of water.
Now, here's the question that I suspect you're not going to have the answer for, Stacey. I'm 62 years old. I'm going to be driving in the car for hours at a time. When I get out, I'm sort of stuck at like that bent over position, and I have to straighten myself up.
Yeah.
What can I do? Obviously, when you're younger, you're more flexible and nimble. What can I do from both a mindset and from maybe like just like exercise throughout the day to keep myself from not feeling too scrunched up and, aged?
Yeah, I know. I hear you. I drove one time from Tennessee. Actually, I drove from Kentucky nonstop. And it was only because somebody had dared me that I wouldn't be able to make the drive by myself. Like I wouldn't last 12 hours. So I was, is game on for me. So I was determined, I will show you I can do this. So I literally drove nonstop. And I had to stop for gas. And that's when I realized that, sitting in a car driving for 4 hours at a time is really hard on your body. I actually could not get out of the car. I had to roll out of the side of the car, get to the ground, and then I could straighten myself up.
Yeah.
So you need to stop at least every 2 hours, if not more. Now, if you're driving cross country, I'm expecting you're stopping to smell the roses along the way because there's so much to see. So, you drive and stop every 2 hours, get out and stretch, walk around the car a few times, bend over, try to touch your toes if you can, to kind of give yourself a little bit of a rest, because we have a tendency when we're sitting in the car, not only are we driving at, I'm always at 90 miles an hour when I drive, and out west, there's no speed limits. There's places where you can just literally, let it rip. So you don't have those restrictions. So if you want to, feel what the open road's like, that's the place to do it. And your body stiffens up. You're sitting in one position for a long period of time, focused on the road, both hands on the wheel, and you're at 10 and 2 and holding on for dear life. So yeah, you need to get out and stretch your legs. So one of the biggest problems that I have, especially working with clients now, is that one hip, doctors will tell you one leg that's longer than the other. You don't have that really. Very, very few cases of people that literally have a discrepancy in leg length. That's something that you're born with. That's not something that you develop over time. But what does happen is the hips get off center. So if one hip hikes up because, one side of the waistline develops more than the other side, you're going to have a skew, and one leg is going to appear to be longer than the other leg. So what has to happen is you need to stretch out the torso or the back, the spine, in order to balance out the legs again. So, that's a misconception over the years that, when I get to be president, I'm going to change that one first. But, they've decided that, they tell you have a leg length problem, and you really don't. It's really more in the waistline. But, but when you have your foot on the gas pedal the whole time, your weight is off. So you have one foot on the floor in the car, unless you have a clutch, which I don't think we have clutches anymore.
Nobody has clutch anymore.
Yeah, they took the fun out of driving completely. I seriously, I love just standard shift. I don't know, you can't drive that anymore. But yeah, so one foot being on the gas pedal all the time, your weight is off in your hips. So yeah, all the lumbar support in the world is not going to fix that in a car. So they're so focused on lumbar support, and really the seat that you're sitting on needs to adjust. because that's where really the problem is. So, I'll have people roll up a towel and put it underneath their legs if they have to sit for a long period of time in a car, so that you jack the knees up a little bit so that you're almost sitting on a slope, because it takes a lot of stress off of the back of the leg. So, if you're going to develop a blood clot or if you have any circulation issues, the last thing you want to do is put any stress or pressure on the backs and the knees, because it cuts off your circulation to your lower limbs. So you get out of the car and you feel like, your foot goes numb or you have other issues. It's like, it's because you're sitting for a long period of time. So when you get to a hotel at night, I don't know if you're going to just be camping in the wilderness, if that's what you're planning on doing.
No camping.
You're not like taking a tent and
no tent
along the side
no
of
camping, no tent. No, I'll be staying with friends and I'll be staying at a few hotels along the way. So.
Well, and it's always good if there's a gym in the hotels, and a lot of them are not open right now, depending on, that's kind of state by state. When you get out in the Midwest country, they're kind of a little more civilized at this point. So, you have more options in the middle of the country than you do in some of the major cities. But, it's good even in your hotel room, just stretch out, whether it's those basic calisthenics, that we learned when you and I were in school. We did basic calisthenics, deep knee bends, touching your toes, sit-ups, things like that, stretching yourself out, even if you have to hang from a door frame, somewhere, just so that you can stretch your body back out again. But those are all things that you should do on a daily basis. Especially if you've been sitting in the car for a long period of time.
The one of the things I'm going to, like, the way I have it planned is today I'll fly, and then I'll be in Northern California and then Sunday. So 3 full days there. And then Sunday I drive to Southern California, and then I'm there for a
great drive.
That's a long drive, but then but it's a great drive, but then I stay there for about 5 days, and then I go up to Salt Lake City and then over to Boulder, and then I'm there for a couple days, and then over to Kansas City and then there for a couple days. So it's not like I'm driving every day. There'll be really only 2 days where I'm doing back-to-back long distance, and then after that it's just like a single day, multiple hours in the car, 8 hours in the car. So I got a lot of driving to do, but it's spaced out.
Where are you going to be in Northern California?
In San Jose.
Oh, in San Jose. Okay.
Yeah.
Great drive.
Yeah.
It's such a pretty drive. And you're going to do the highway?
No, the highway's closed. They had a landslide there. Highway 1 got shut down. So, yeah.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, I thought about doing that. It would have taken, longer, but it's such a great drive. Anyway, the highway got wiped out with the landslide.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, that's just what they need right now is more problems. So.
More problems.
But it's such a great drive. Well, there's a ton to see. I don't know about you, but I have a thing for ghost towns. So, and there's tons of them out there. There's one in California. There's Bodie Ghost Town, which is north out of Vegas, though. You have to hit out of Vegas to hit that. But yeah, there's so many of these old ghost towns along the way, just to stop and see some of the remnants of what's there. I mean, there's not a lot in some places, but there's some really cool stuff to see where you're going to be.
Yeah.
And, and Salt Lake City is gorgeous. Just so pretty. So pretty.
And a lot of these places I've already been over. I lived in California for 27 years, so I've been all over California. So in some ways it's like, I'll be able to go back and see some of the things that I said, but mostly it'll be visiting people and, doing my show and kind of interviewing people. So I won't necessarily be, purely sightseeing along the way and stopping. It'll be more like getting to places and then kind of doing some work there and moving on. Cool. So yeah, so it's going to be fun though. Well, thanks for that. Boy, lots of great tips. I didn't realize you knew so much about I never knew you were a flight attendant for 5 years. Now the daring part where someone dared you to drive from Kentucky back, this doesn't surprise me because nobody knows this, but I dared Stacey to do a monthly show, and that was it. Yeah. Once I said, I dare you to do it.
I'm like always up for a challenge. It's like, if you really want me to do something, tell me I can't do it. And then I'll prove you wrong every time, most of the time. I got
I'm just teasing about that. I just invited you, but being the shy person that you were, you said, okay, I'll do it.
Yeah, what am I going to talk about? But the one thing that this is a big problem. I'm going to tell you what happens when I travel.
Okay.
So, I have a tendency, I have a potato chip problem. So I never eat potato chips.
Oh, yeah.
I never eat potato chips except when I'm traveling. So when I go to different parts of the country, I have to try their potato chips. And out west, they have many options. So I have this problem. I mean, you try to eat healthy when you're on the road, but you can't. It's really hard to do because you're grabbing food on the run. You're sitting for hours in the car. There is a tendency for us to just like snack up because just in case your car breaks down, I guess we're afraid we're going to, deteriorate and starve to death in the wilderness. I mean, the most important thing is to keep water on hand in the car because you're going to be traveling across the desert and at least up to Salt Lake City. Yep. That drive you're going to go through the desert a bit.
Absolutely.
So, and Salt Lake City's at altitude. So is Boulder. Boulder's great. I have awesome friends in Boulder. Mm-hmm. I love Boulder. But yeah, you're going to be traveling at altitude and you're going to be traveling over some barren areas. I mean, there's a lot of people don't realize how many areas there are in the country where there's no cell phone service. There's nothing for miles and miles at all. I mean, you just have flat road in some cases. In some places, when you get out, the Midwestern part of the country is just flat. You can see states away. It's so flat. So, but, in where you're going to be, the first part of it is there's a lot of mountains, et cetera, but there's a lot of empty space and empty road out there. So, that's something that, you want to make sure that you have the right provisions with you, water being one of them. There's the water and a flashlight and flares and, things along those lines, so that you have some.
I had my notes for preparing for you. And the last bullet point was traveling food, comfort food, and food that inflames the joint. So what would be good snack stuff to have? I mean, potato chips. Let's just assume that I'm not going to get potato chips. I might do that, but let's just assume that I won't do that.
Get the chips. I'm telling you, giving you my blessing. Get the chips. There was a place in the Grand Canyon. They had the best potato chips.
What would be like a healthy snack to have if you just want to have something?
Not.
There is no healthy snack.
No, not at all. And get the big bag.
Don't
be a loser. Go for the big bag.
All right. I don't know if you're helping me or not, but
I'm not. So I will tell you what I travel with. So there's something out there, our protein bars. I always have a protein bar in the car. Because one, it'll kill the hunger. There was one out there called Perfect Bar. I love Perfect Bars. They're wonderful. Mm-hmm. Very nutritious, really good protein, solid nutrition in that particular thing. They need to be refrigerated. I think that's the only thing. So carry a little cooler with you if you can. I mean, even there's collapsible coolers that you can pack to take with you on the plane. Put them in your suitcase. But it's good to have something cold just in case. You're going to be in the desert, so it's good to have a cold pack. So I recommend that. Make sure that you have a lot of water with you. Mm-hmm. Make sure that you have something, maybe electrolyte-y at some point, just in case, because water is not going to be an end-all be-all. If you happen to get really dehydrated for whatever reason, you want to make sure that you have something that has an electrolyte in it, because that's something that will happen, especially in the warmer temperatures. Your electrolytes can get a little screwed up because of, any extreme heat. So I don't know what weather's like right now out in California. I know they've had some warm spells, unusual warm spells this time of year. So you want to make sure that you have that.
Yeah, they're a little bit cool actually. So
are they?
Like they're around 50s or 60s. So it's not super hot. Like Gatorade, obviously electrolytes. Is there a particular electrolyite choice?
There's a lot of additives that you can put in. Gatorade got a little too commercial there for a while, very similar. But yeah, there's actually little packets that you can buy that you can add to water that are electrolytes. And I like to travel with those because you can put them in any water. You don't have to carry a specific thing, but there are little packets that you can get that, and any health food store carries things like that. I love like nuts and dried fruit and things like that. So a trail mix of some kind, that you have something to snack on while you're driving. It keeps you awake. Right. So that's the other thing is when you're driving for long stretches, especially if it's at night, there's a tendency to want to nod off a little bit sometimes. And that happens, especially when you're driving a monotonously long straight highway. And I'm amazed at how straight the roads are out there for miles. And, there's a tendency to nod off. That mirage thing that we see, those hot roads, a lot of times you'll see things that, you start to become mesmerized a bit. So yeah, it's always good to have something to snack on just to keep you alert so that you don't get into that type of a hypnotic state when you drive. But there was one thing that I was fascinated with. You have to watch this too when you're out there, are trains, the train systems out there. Miles and miles of train track and miles of train. I mean, they would just go on and on forever. It was absolutely fascinating for me, to see that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, but yeah.
Well, very good. Well, it's going to be an adventure. As soon as I wrap up the show, I'm going to finish packing my bags and go to the airport. And so it's like it's happening right now. And
oh wow.
And it'll. Yeah. And if, assuming you're going to be here next month, it'll be like,
I hope so.
The week or two after I get back. So,
well, hopefully you're going to come back in one piece. So I'm going to want to.
That is a goal. That's the objective.
Follow my tips always. In terms of health and wellness, like I said, oscillocostinum is my go-to. You can buy it at the health food store. It's a little pricey, but it's worth it. It's way cheaper than a trip to the emergency room. So yeah, but it's a really good one to have and keep along with you. Keep yourself hydrated, moisturizing, all of these things that we just take for granted, is keep yourself healthy, keep yourself alert. Our immune system is really our only defense that we have. We are, people forget this. We are part of the ecosystem. We are a portion of it. Human beings are part of the ecosystem. So we survive here based on oxygen and food and things. So we are an element. We are not visitors here. We are part of the planet. So, we want to make sure that you use every resource possible to stay healthy. And, the defense, we're constantly under attack, whether it's the environment, smog, pollution, germs, whatever it is, we are constantly under attack. So, it's up to us. It is up to us. I'm going to say it one more time. It is up to us, our responsibility to take care of ourselves so that we are a contributing part of that ecosystem.
Stacey, Ian Morris is checking in and he's saying that this show is awesome. I agree with that. And Stacey is awesome. She is the fitness misfit, StaceyRedfield.com. We appreciate that you come here and brighten up our month and provide some good, useful tips, which I love. And let me just tell people a little bit about who you are. You've got you've got the Physical Methods Palladio studio right in Bethlehem, PA. So if you are in anywhere in the Bethlehem area, you want to go, get your body back into physical good condition.
Now, if there's one thing that I can add to that, okay, and this I stressed, and I actually happened to see a video I did a year ago when this whole thing broke in terms of the pandemic. The one thing that makes me unique, I am a boutique fitness studio, okay, which means teeny. So we're a boutique. I never believed in jamming hundreds of people into a building to sweat together because that's disgusting. Okay. But I never had that. I always kept my studio smaller. So I only see a total of 4 people in a class at a time, and we are very spread out. So we social distance before it was a thing. But that's something that is very, very important. I talk about needing to boost your immune system anytime you get into a crowd of people or change an environment. Getting into a gym, even though it's a healthy environment, the same thing, same rules apply. You're mixing with other people's DNA, and not all of our DNA mesh. So you need to find that, defense or that protection for your immune system. So really important. See, I'm getting a package there. Thank you. So, but we've kept things small over the years. So the one thing about my studio that is unique is the fact that we focus more on your health. If you do not come to the studio, I call you and I find out, make sure that you are okay. The gym never calls you if you don't come in. They don't care because your monthly membership just keeps coming in. So we want to know there's a little bit more attention that is paid to your specific needs in your body instead of just coming in to stretch out. So I know a lot more about my clients than their doctors know. So some information I don't want to know, but I know it anyway. But it's things like that. That is what makes me unique.
Most of the visits that we've had with you, you've been right in the studio. Today, you're coming from the living room area, so it's just great to see you.
Yeah, the studio's in front of me, so it's really part of it. If I turned you around.
Oh, there's that studio.
Yeah, there we go.
There's the studio. There we go. Yeah. There's the Pilates studio. Look at the.
My studio it's what I basically have is a Pilates studio with a living room and a kitchen. So the majority of my living area is a Pilates studio. I mean, this is just how I
roll.
It's how I roll. Exactly. And, I have people now. The one thing that I noticed that has changed as a result of the pandemic is, one, I preach health and wellness to clients. When they come in here, I'm like, if you aren't doing certain things, I am making you accountable for it. Why aren't you? And people have really stepped up. I have to say, people have really stepped up. My clients that wanted to come once a week here and there or once a month have stepped up to twice a week, 3 times a week. They want to come as often as possible, because the wake-up call for many people is like, look, we have really no defense. A vaccine is not going to, be a miracle for a lot of people, and it just depends. I mean, it's something that I'm very careful about what I put into my body, so I want to be, even when it comes to vaccines, I am not an anti-vaxxer. People ask me that all the time. You must be an anti-vaxxer. I am not an anti-vaxxer, but I like to know exactly what, you're putting into your body, so I'll ask questions. I want to make sure that I know everything that I know so that I come in with the most information possible to make the best decision for me. And there's still nothing that is going to replace fitness. Nothing. There is no vaccine that is going to develop muscles, maintain your body, maintain structures other than good old-fashioned exercise. So it's your effort that's going to put through it. There's no artificial intelligence that's going to replace that ever, ever, ever.
Since it is St. Patrick's Day, this is the last question we're going to go, and then we're going to let you go. Will you put corned beef and cabbage into your body, and will you put green beer into your body?
I will not put green beer, but I will put Guinness beer in. So okay. I will do that. I'm not going to eat corned beef and cabbage. I will have a piece of brisket. So I do that. And I make, what I said to my friends is we need to, because we're all getting together for a dinner tonight, and it has to be a traditional Irish dinner. Otherwise, bad luck will come to us. So we can't have any. So I'm making something called colcannon, which is mashed potatoes with cabbage, with fried cabbage, which is amazing. And then I'm going to do turnips and baby carrots and peas. So, wow. Yeah.
It sounds like,
and there's Bailey's. I think there's a Bailey's shot in there somewhere. So
it sounds like everybody is Irish today.
Yeah. So nothing wrong with that.
All right. Well, Stacey, thank you. I'll give you the last word. What would you like to, as I get ready to get on the airplane and go, what's your last fitness, keeping me moving, keeping me healthy on the road for the next 3.5 weeks? And it cannot be the potato chips. It has to be something.
It's not the potato chips, but just to have so much fun. Take it all in. Really enjoy the United States. Is such a beautiful place. There is so much to see and do. I am so excited for you to do this because I think everybody should. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'm really excited to hear about your adventures on the road because, I mean, what a better, I'm so excited. So much fun. So just be careful. Just be careful out there. There's a lot of crazy people in the middle part of the country where they can all hide.
Stacey, thank you. We'll see you next month. I'll have a good report, and we'll see you from the road between now and then. I expect to do my show, maybe not every day at this time. I might do some just kind of spontaneous lives, but they'll all be available on the American Gumption Facebook page, so you can find them. So we'll see you next month. Thank you, Stacey.
Safe travels. Bye.
All right. Special thanks to Stacey. Comes and join us once a month. We love when she visits because she brings energy and knowledge about your health and wellness. And she gave some great ideas for keeping me fit and moving during my travels in the next couple of weeks. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and shut this show down a few minutes early today. I'm going to go get on an airplane, fly out to California. Plan is tomorrow morning broadcast at the regular time, 7 a.m. on the East Coast. And I've always been like talking to the East Coast people. Oh, it's no problem. You just have to get up early at 7 o'clock. And now I'm like, oh boy, I'm not sure I want to do that. But anyway, we will do it. And I'm going to lay out what the whole trip is, what I'm planning to do. And, and then we'll just go ahead and take it day by day after that and be back in the Pennsylvania American Gumption headquarters probably on Monday or Tuesday, April 12th or 13th. So 3.5 weeks from today. Alrighty, that's it, everybody. Have a great rest of your day. Appreciate people joining us and look forward to talking to you from the road the next couple of weeks. Have a great day.